Hello everyone, this is SteveTheWeave, and today is going to be a very special review because we're going to be taking a look at the very first Plarail Thomas set ever released. This is the 1992 Plarail Thomas the Tank Engine set. The Thomas the Tank Engine set was released in April of 1992 and was discontinued in 1994. Like I said before, it was the first set in the Thomas series of Plarail sets, trains, and accessories to ever be released. Much like the Thomas and Freight Car set, which I have done a review of before, the front of the box contains pictures of the full set assembled, the contents featured in the set, and artwork from Owen Bell. The back of the box contains... Wait a minute, there is no back of the box, it's just the styrofoam insert. Well, that's how these old sets were originally released. They weren't actual boxes at the time, they were just a lid and styrofoam insert. And if anyone is curious, here's the STNN sticker, which yes, has a number 2 on it, meaning this box was indeed printed in 1992. Upon taking off the lid, we can see a styrofoam insert containing the 36 pieces included in this set. These include the 4-wheel Made in Japan variant Thomas, Annie, Clarabelle, 8 straight rails, 8 curve rails, 8 large curve rails, 1 stop rail, 1 double track point rail, 1 block tunnel, the railroad crossing, Wellsworth Station, Wellsworth Pedestrian Crossing, which is unfortunately missing one of the legs, 2 trees, and a signal, which unfortunately is missing its arm. So now if you want to purchase a Made in Japan Thomas for yourself, I'm going to give you some ways on how to correctly identify one. One that a lot of people get wrong is the uninclusion of the middle wheel. This is not a very good way to identify a Made in Japan Thomas because a lot of newer Thomases also don't have it. One good way is to look at the front axle. If they have 2 circles on it, and if it's bigger than a normal Tomy Thomas axle, then there's a good chance that it's a Made in Japan one. Now, an obvious way to indicate it's made in Japan is obviously to look at the bottom, and if it has the text Made in Japan as well as the old curvy Tomy logo, then there you go, there's an indicator. Another way is to look at the coupling. If it doesn't have a little slice or a little split going through the middle, then there's an indicator. One that people also get confused on is the painted face, because once again, newer Thomases past 1992 have painted faces, so that's not a very good way to identify it. And probably the best way to identify a Made in Japan Thomas is to look at the sticker inside the shell, and as you can see, it's a J3, which means that it was made in October 1993, so if it looks like that and if it has that sort of font, then that's another good indicator. And one more way to identify one is to look at the battery contacts. Now, these look gold, but this is actually brass. The Made in Japan Thomases used brass for the battery contacts. Once the set is fully assembled, we are presented with a rather large double-track loop with plenty of destinations for Thomas to interact with. There's actually another way for Thomas to interact with Wellsworth, not just with the stop-and-go rail. This set actually incorporates a token system found on regular British railways, whereas Annie would carry a token and drop it off at the Wellsworth hook as seen here. For those who don't know, the token exchange system is used for the movement of trains at certain stations or lines. This system is used at stations where there are multiple lines converging and trains have to cross each other. In such cases, a token is issued to the driver of the train, which authorizes him to enter a particular section of the track. Once the train has passed through this section, the token is then handed over to the next train driver, who uses it to enter the next section. This ensures that only one train is present on a particular section of the track at any given time, reducing the risk of a collision. The token system can actually be found in a Railway Series book, particularly Stepney Special from the 18th book, Stepney the Bluebell Engine. Just the mere fact that this kind of railway logic is included in a children's toy just shows how amazing and incredible these older sets were. Something else I wanted to bring up that you guys might also be wondering, is the large curve rail the same radius as a standard double curve rail? The answer is kind of, but also no, because as you can see here, the large curve rail is actually slightly longer than the double curve rail. But enough of me yapping, let's actually run this darn thing. So taking into account that this is the first Plarail Thomas set released, I would give the 1992 Thomas the Tank Engine set a 10 out of 10. The double loop track is really fun, the inclusion of a token system is surprising, and overall it's just a great introduction to the world of Plarail Thomas. Well, with all that being said, thank you all for watching, comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.